And now, an 8th special presentation.
This time on Art Beat Nation, we dive into the creative process.
I look at it, I reinterpret it, and then I give it back transformed to my audience.
Learn how Jews put the rock in rock and roll.
It's basically a musical history tour, if you will, looking at over 60 years of Jews in rock and roll.
Meet a poet bridging the gap between faraway places.
I feel as if I woke up from that life.
And an on-screen love affair crosses into real life.
He saw sparks passing between us before we were aware of it.
It's all ahead on this edition of Art Beat Nation. Funding for Art Beat Nation is made possible by contributions to 8 from viewers like you. Thank you. In our first segment, we join sculptor Barbara Sorensen as she walks us through her creative process. Though Sorensen's work may vary in size and medium, the mark of the artist's hand appears in every single piece. From textured clay statues to towering aluminum structures, Sorensen's work radiates with energy befitting of the colorful Florida beach town she calls home.
My work itself is about the landscape and the environment. I spend a lot of time hiking, snorkeling, biking. I spend a lot of time outdoors. And my work itself is, in the end, about change and about movement, just as the earth grows and changes. It's about what I see out there in the landscape. I look at it, I reinterpret it, and then I give it back transformed to my audience. The materials I use for creating my pieces are varied. In the beginning, I started in clay. And since then, I have moved from clay to bronze, to resins, to aluminum, to powder-coated aluminum, and some various materials. My creative process, first of all, I don't do a lot of drawing ahead of time. I have a lot of ideas in my head, and I will do sketches. I'll do outlines of sketches, and so then I'll just start with the clay, and I'll have slabs, and I'll build, and I'll build, and I'll push from inside. I'll build some more. I'll use fingerprints. I do like, in clay particularly, and actually all of my materials, to let the process show. So I like the mark of the artist to show. And I think as a result, I think there's a lot of energy that's infused in the work, just subconsciously. And specifically with, for example, the powder-coated aluminum dwellings, the powder-coated aluminum rod pieces. Again, I have some sketches. I happen to work with a master welder for that, and I cut and bend and hold the metal. but it's just an active process. We work a little. We add parts. I think that I think there's 3 favorite series. My goddesses are very, very important to me because I think they represented a time in my career when I finally developed my own voice as an artist. And I love the shields. The shields are my big, flat, round medallions. They've got squares, they've got hints of latches. The texture is like peeling stucco. And then the chalices, I think that would be my 3rd one. Those directly are related to the metamorphosis of the Earth's crust for me, and plate tectonics and overlapping plates. You'll see kind of a quilt work on there. Well, my Spolothium series, being my newest series, represents for me the truest actual installation that I've done, a true total environmental piece. But basically, the Spolothiums are a big 30 by 40 foot dark cave space, and there are about 21 stalactites and stalagmites growing up from the floor and hanging from the ceiling, and some of them are 16 feet long, hanging from the ceiling, and the audience has to walk among them, and they feel like they're in a cave. And I'm just really excited to have that interaction of the viewer and of my work.
For more, check out barbarasorensen.com. Up next, we stop by Milwaukee's Jewish Museum, where its Jews Who Rock exhibit is something of a who's who of rock and roll history. From music legends like Bob Dylan to more contemporary pop stars like Pink, the exhibit reveals the range and magnitude of the Jewish contribution to American music. So, are you ready to rock?
I think a lot of people are surprised, will be surprised, just by simply recognizing that some of these artists are Jewish. People walk into this room and they just are excited by it and they're lit up by it. It's a positive energy room, and people are really taking that away with them and spreading the buzz in the community, which we love. This is called Jews Who Rock, and it's basically a musical history tour, if you will, looking at over 60 years of Jews in rock and roll. We selected images and panels and customized it specifically for the Jewish Museum Milwaukee space.
One of the things that I think this exhibit does is it really shows the breadth of Jewish belief and practice. That you have, generally when we're talking about Jews, you have a more formal religious kind of impression of them. In this exhibit, you see Jews who are secular, who are cultural, who have Jewish parentage but don't really practice much in terms of religious practice through these famous personas. And to me, that's a really, really interesting part of this exhibit.
You've got rare photographs, you've got certainly biographical text panels and labels, some compilation pieces with different CDs, cassette tapes, photographs. We've got books, we've got albums, we've got Kiss action figures, what could be better? So we have a little bit of everything.
The idea is actually to present something that is not typically thought of being a Jewish topic. Jews Who Rock is not necessarily something you would think, Jews Who Rock, ? And so the thought was, what can we do that's really different? Whether it's the rock and rollers themselves who are Jewish, who nobody thinks about, whether it's Pink or Drake, or is it actually something more than that, than the fact there's Jews behind the scenes, or the origin of Jews Who Rock, whether it's the Gershwins or the idea of what the music scene was, producers, directors, and the like as well.
The other thing I always like to do is to augment with local artifacts, so it does have that community connection. And so we were lucky enough to be able to work with some families in our community who have ties to the Jewish rock world or who are avid collectors of artifacts that pertain to rock and roll, and who loaned us some of those pieces to help us really round out the exhibit. One of the local pieces that we have that really is rather exciting is a Moog Mini Voyager synthesizer. And this was loaned to us by a local music producer by the name of Michael Kohler. He works with a lot of big names all around the country and the world. And Bob Moog is the founder and inventor of the synthesizer, the Moog synthesizer. And this was something that revolutionized the rock and roll and music business way beyond Phil Spector's wall of sound.
Without this technology, the sound of music today would be totally different, for better or for worse. Pretty much anything on popular radio has some sort of synth component.
Actually, 2014 marks the 50th anniversary of the Moog Mini Voyager. It really was a game changer. One of the other families we were lucky enough to work with is the Epstein family, and they are relatives of Howie Epstein, who was the primary bass player for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers for years and years. He grew up here in Milwaukee, graduated from Nicolet High School, and unfortunately kind of a cautionary tale, got caught up in the rock and roll lifestyle, but the family was kind enough to loan us some significant items, including a collector's edition Redwood Clover and Sandberg bass guitar that is in our atrium case. We have his graduation picture from the Nicolay Shield yearbook and some great historical information, so that really made a wonderful addition. People will be surprised by the people that we have represented and not having recognized that they were Jewish. So people like Gene Simmons, who was born Chaim Witz in Haifa, Israel, and with Paul Stanley, who were two of the co-founders of the rock group, the metal group Kiss. A lot of people don't know that about Gene Simmons. They don't know that he was born with a very Jewish name, that he was born in Israel.
There are the Bette Midlers that are there. There are the Barbra Streisands that are there. Those are the obvious ones, but then there's some others that are kind of, wow, I didn't know that drummer was. I didn't know that lead guitarist was. And that's fun to see.
We partnered with 53rd Street School through a program called Arts at Large. 53rd Street School is this school that has so many questions about Jews and Jewish people, and we spent a lot of time on Jewish identity and who are the Jews. Then they went back to their school and worked in teams, and they picked 4 contemporary artists. They focused on Pink, Mac Miller, Drake, and Adam Levine from Maroon 5. They created these beautiful records, and they actually took records and record album covers and created collages and pieces to kind of represent the artists that they were working with, and it's such a lovely kind of entryway into the gallery.
Another way of engaging some of the younger demographic was the idea to put together a playlist, a Juicy Rock playlist. So through Spotify, we've put together this list, and we kind of have a listening and looking corner where you can sit down, and Koss, who was one of our supporters, was kind enough to donate some wonderful earphones. You can sit down, you can put on the headphones, you can listen to some of the artists. Everyone is represented, and many beyond who are represented are here. It's a nice interactive corner that you can come and listen as well as look. One of the things I want people to take away is to understand the relevance of Jewish individuals to the rock genre and how they've been such an important factor in the growth and development of that industry. I think it's important to recognize that music is very much a part of Jewish culture and heritage, and has been since antiquity. The Jewish people are known as the people of the book, or the written word, versus the image. So when you think about what role words and lyrics play in the development of music, it's a natural connection. So to be able to make those ties historically, and to be able to look at, consistently throughout time, the role that Jewish individuals and communities have played in music, and specifically in the development of the rock genre, I think that's an important lesson for our community, and not just the Jewish community, but the greater community, to be able to walk away with.
It's not just the lead singers and the guitarists and the bassists and the drummers that make up music, but it's the people in the background, the people who are producing, the people who are doing things like coming up with new music technology that really have impacted our way of listening to music.
I like the idea that we can not necessarily talk about doom and gloom Judaism. That's a lot of Jewish history. It's a pretty cool thing to sometimes have something that's just really fun to celebrate, and fun to just simply enjoy what you're celebrating. And that's what the show really, really is. It's just a phenomenal display of, wow, look what we did. Look at the contribution we made.
In our next segment, we explore the questions of national and cultural identity through the eyes of a purported outsider. Poet Dunya Mikhail in 1994 escaped her home country of Iraq for fear of persecution. How has her life in America impacted her work? Here's her story.
Passport that's special that I kept, although it's expired, But the reason that I'll always keep is that it's unique. It says that my profession is a poet. Although it's expired, I'll always keep it. It says here it expired on May 19th, 94. And that's the time or the day I left my country, Baghdad. Being a poet, you don't need a leave of absence from anywhere. I started to think of myself as a poet first in high school. And then in the college, I had my first book published. And that was in Baghdad. It was not my intention to make peace or to change the world. That was not my goal. I don't believe that poetry has these type of tasks. Before coming here, I always, write in Arabic. I don't even think about the translation or English. Then I realized this language issue that you have this duality, not only duality of being, duality of existence, duality of memories, but duality of language. When you write a poem in your language, you write it one time. And when you think in the other language and try to write a poem in the other language, I feel as if it's a new poem. They say lost in translation, but also as things found in translation. I became American citizen in the year 2007, and I earned that hyphen. Now I became Iraqi American. And contemplating, looking at that, I was thinking that hyphen, I always think of it. And it looks like a subtraction, but it's actually a plus. In reality, it adds to you. When people ask me, are you going to go back? I feel it's a strange question, as if I have to go back to a dream. And sometimes you feel like, was it you really that you were in that place? Did you see all that? Will I see what I know? Will I know what I see? I mean, it is really, I feel as if I woke up from that life. People say it's exile, they call it, but really this is for me, if I have to call it exile, then maybe I would say exile, sweet exile.
And finally, we meet a TV couple who made it work in real life. And after over 40 years together, Bill and Susan Hayes are collaborating again. This time, they're embarking on a literary endeavor. And as always, they're hand in hand.
I can hardly wait to hold you, feel my arms around you. How long I have waited.
Musical, handsome, delightful creature came whisking into the rehearsal room, and every woman there thought, oh my, oh, I hope I have scenes with him.
I, of course, could see that Susan was gorgeous, and that immediately discovered that she was an incredible actress, and came to admire her in that way. However, I was freshly divorced, and I didn't want to have a relationship. I was not looking for one or even considering one. In fact, if a lady looked at me with goo-goo eyes, I ran the other way at that point. So it was not easy to get close right away for that reason, but we've had the most wonderful time together, and I appreciate the first moments as the last moments too.
Did you guys get in trouble for dating?
No, there was no rule against it. As a matter of fact, the head writer, Bill Bell, the late great Bill Bell, lived in Chicago, and he would watch the show in real time like the rest of the audience in the United States, and he saw sparks passing between us before we were aware of it.
He literally threw out the whole plot that he had for me and the whole plot he had for Susan, and began to write for our characters working together, developed a whole plot for the two of us. It was a very exciting time.
The most beautiful star in the world isn't Garble, isn't Dietrich, but the sweet trick who can make me believe it's a beautiful world.
Like Sands Through the Hourglass came because a friend of ours took us out to dinner one night, and we had a 3-hour dinner, and he said, you know, you have a very unique relationship here, and people need to know about it, the way that you think or the way that you consider relationship or something. And we said, oh yeah, sure. But he finally talked us into agreeing with him that we might set it down. He said, do you mind if I try to sell it to a publisher? No, we never thought it would happen, but he did. He sold it to a publisher, and they even offered us money to write our memoir, which was a nice surprise.
Fresh and exciting, yes.
And Like Sands Through the Hourglass was a great experience. Maybe the week that it was published in New York, we met with our editor there, and she said, you know, you two, with your interest in history and everything, you really ought to do a historical novel, some historical fiction. And again, we said, oh yeah, sure, what will we? And finally, we came around to think that might be fun. And that was 7 years before we got
fun.
Trumpet published. It was, we did a lot of research.
We've been working on it for 7 years. Such an enmeshing experience.
Yeah, we rarely disagreed.
It was one
strangely
thing to do a double biography and memoir where such and such an event happened, and we both agreed we saw it differently. Okay, you can agree about seeing something differently.
Yep.
But to go into your mutual fantasy life, which only you have been experiencing for all those months and all those years, and then to share it with the world, it's been such fun. And all I ask of life is that somebody read this book, somebody read Trumpet and have a little fun with it.
For more arts and culture, visit azpbs.org/artbeat, where you'll find feature videos and information on the Arizona art scene. Funding for Artbeat Nation is made possible by contributions to 8 from viewers like you. Thank you.